Hi, my name is Jack. I'm an engineer here at Veriato, and it will be my pleasure to take you through a demonstration of Veriato 360 and Veriato Recon. Veriato 360 and Veriato Recon use a client-server architecture. The client, or recorder, is installed on each computer that you want to monitor. For Veriato 360, all detailed event data is sent to the server, where that data is processed, analyzed, and made available for you to view in the management console. Veriato Recon, on the other hand, keeps detailed event data on the client computer for up to 30 days. If needed, you can use a Veriato 360 license or a floating license to unlock and review that event data. While the Recon recorder is capturing and storing all of the data, it still sends metadata to the server for analysis and detection of anomalies, keywords and phrases, and the creation of behavioral groups, as I will describe later in this demonstration. The recorder monitors the user's activity on their computer. Screenshots are taken at intervals that you specify, allowing you to see exactly what was on the user's screen throughout the workday. By default, screenshots are taken every 30 seconds, but that can be adjusted so the screenshots are taken more or less frequently based on your business requirements. Also, screenshots can be triggered when specific events occur or when specified keywords or phrases are detected. Screenshots are very useful for providing that extra context around the other activities that are captured by Veriato 360 because they allow you to see exactly what the user was doing before, during, and after the captured event. Chat and IM will capture back and forth instant messaging and chat conversations. Veriato 360 supports most popular instant messaging clients and internet-based chat services. For websites visited, the Veriato recorder is not only able to capture the URL for the web pages that the user visits, but also the window caption from the browser, which is very helpful when trying to determine what it was that a user was doing on a website. 3 different time metrics are also associated with website visits: active time, focus time, and total time. Total time represents the total amount of time that the user had the website open in the browser, while focus time represents the amount of time that the website had focus on the user's screen. Lastly, active time represents the amount of time that the user was actually engaged with the website based on keyboard and mouse input. The Veriato recorder is able to capture both sent and received email messages from traditional email applications such as Outlook or any POP3, SMTP, or IMAP mail client, as well as many popular webmail services such as Gmail. The recorder is also able to capture certain file activities, which are configured here as document tracking and files transferred. With document tracking enabled, the Veriato recorder will capture events when users create, edit, delete, rename, or print files on either their local drives, network drives, removable USB drives, CD or DVD drives, or cloud storage. For cloud storage, we specifically support the locally synced folders for Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, and Dropbox if those applications are installed. Events captured as files transferred are files that a user uploads to or downloads from websites or FTP servers. Veriato 360 is also able to capture all of the keystrokes that users type. Keystrokes are associated with the program and the specific window they were typed into. The Veriato recorder will also capture the use of local or server-based applications. Collected information includes the name of the application, window captions, as well as time metrics allowing you to see not only how long the user had the application open, but also how much time the user was actually using the application. User status is information about when the user logs into their computer, periods of activity or inactivity based on keyboard and mouse input, and when the user logs out. This allows you to quickly and easily identify when users are logging in early and being extra productive, logging in at unusual times, or taking longer than usual lunches or breaks. Network activity will collect information about which applications the users are running that open network connections. You'll be able to easily see the destination for those connections, the length of time the connections were open, and how much data was transferred in each direction. With this information, you can answer questions such as which users are sending or receiving the most data, or how much data is a particular application sending or receiving. All of these items are configured in what we refer to as a recording policy. Each computer that you monitor with Veriato 360 or Veriato Recon will have a recording policy assigned to it. You may create as many or as few recording policies as you'd like, depending on your organization's monitoring requirements. Many of our customers, for example, use the same recording policy for every computer they monitor, which is fine. Other customers, however, will create multiple recording policies and then assign more aggressive policies to computers that are used by their more high-risk employees. Next, we'll take a look at a feature of Veriato Recon called behavioral groups. Behavioral groups are the result of analytic processing that identifies groups of employees based on their workplace behavior. These groups, which are independent of departments or other organizational groupings, provide a unique map highlighting productivity and unusual activity. Behavioral groups begin to form as soon as Veriato Recon is installed. They're dynamic and can change from week to week. Once enabled, the Recon Recorder will return metadata about user activity back to the Veriato 360 server. Then, an algorithm at the server processes the metadata, finding similarities and differences in the activities and groups users accordingly. The groups will appear as vertical bars on the behavioral groups chart. The height of the bar indicates the quantity of users contained in the group, while the bar colors illustrate membership coming from various Veriato 360 user groups or Active Directory departments. You can click on one of the bars to see the activities along with the users who form the behavioral group. These behavioral groups are important because you can, at a glance, see where activity is occurring and discover when users from the same department may be engaging in different activities. Behavioral groups can also highlight individuals who are acting outside of their expected roles, which may be one indicator of insider threat activities. Veriato Recon has alerting capabilities that will allow you to set your alert criteria and then continuously scan for detected keywords or unusual behavior patterns. There are three types of alerts that you can configure in Veriato Recon: keyword-based, anomaly-based, and compromised credentials. When setting up a Veriato Recon keyword alert, the first step of the wizard will ask you whether you want this keyword alert to apply to all of your users or only to users in specific groups. For this example, let's allow the keyword alert to apply to all of the users. On the next step of the wizard, you will choose what activities Veriato Recon will scan for the keywords. Keywords can be detected in program names, window captions, chat and instant messaging content, incoming and outgoing email messages, keystrokes the users type, names and locations of documents from document tracking events, and also website URLs. The keywords step of the wizard allows you to select which of the defined keyword categories you want to use as triggers for your keyword alert. Several keyword categories are predefined for you, and you may also create any number of your own keyword categories. When defining a keyword alert, you do not specify keywords directly in the alert configuration, but which category or categories to use. There is another configuration page in the software that allows you to define keyword categories and the words and phrases they contain. The action page of the wizard allows you to define what you want Veriato Recon to do when a keyword or phrase is detected. The two options here are to display a notification on the user's desktop, or you could have an email notification sent to an administrator or manager, or both. You may select any number of alert operators or notification recipients that you've already defined, or you may define new ones here. An email rate is also configurable, allowing you to limit the frequency at which you receive the email alerts. Lastly, on the summary page of the wizard, you can review your keyword alert configuration. You can go back to any of the previous tabs to make any necessary changes, and then click Done when you are satisfied with the configuration. The second type of alert available in Veriato Recon is an anomaly-based alert, which identifies events that do not conform to an established pattern. Veriato Recon allows you to set up two different types of anomaly detection alerts: self-to-self and self-to-group. Self-to-self anomaly alerts will compare each user's behavior to their own past patterns. The user's pattern of behavior is created by applying a moving average to the numbers of specific events, such as emails sent, files transferred to removable USB storage, and so forth. Then, standard deviations are calculated on that moving average to detect anomalies. For self-to-group anomaly alerts, a user's daily activity is compared to the daily average for the group. The alert will either watch all users or each user in the groups that you select, and will compare them to the group they belong to or to all users if they do not belong to a group. Let's walk through setting up a self-to-self anomaly alert. On the first screen of the wizard, you would choose whether you want this anomaly alert to apply to all of your users or only to users in specific groups. In this case, let's just go ahead and select to apply this alert to all users like we did with the keyword alert previously. On the next page of the wizard, you will choose what types of events you would like to detect anomalies in. They're separated into 3 categories: documents, sent email, and resource usage. You are only able to select one of these categories, so if you would like to detect anomalies in multiple categories, you would simply create additional alerts. In the Documents category, we can see that Veriato Recon is able to detect changes in the number of files that a user touches, the sizes of the files that the user touches, the number of documents or pages that a user prints, and the number of outbound transfers, including FTP or web uploads, transfers to cloud storage, sent email attachments, and files sent to removable or network drives. For the sent email category, Veriato Recon is able to detect changes in the number of sent email messages, the number of attachments that the user sends, the number of blind carbon copies on the messages the user sends, changes to the overall size of the email messages, and changes in the user's language patterns and sentiment. Veriato Recon looks at employee email communication and uses machine learning along with language style matching algorithms to gauge each user's psycholinguistic posture or sentiment. Research has shown that there is a direct correlation between negative sentiment in communication to disengagement and disgruntlement, which are top predictors of insider threat. Some studies have also shown a spike in positive sentiment when an individual has made a decision to commit an extreme act. For these reasons, it's very important to monitor for changes in your user's sentiment. Lastly, for the resource usage category, Veriato Recon will track which applications your users use and how much time they spend using them. Veriato Recon can alert you when users use new applications or their usage patterns in normally used applications change. For network shares, Veriato Recon tracks the network locations where document tracking events are occurring. When users perform these activities in new or unusual network locations, Veriato Recon can generate an alert for that change in behavior. The next page of the Anomaly Alert Wizard allows you to adjust the sensitivity of the alert. This section of the wizard may or may not display depending on what activities you selected in the previous section. When adjusting the sensitivity of the alert, it helps to understand what the different pieces of information in the example graphic represent. This graphic does not represent actual data from any user, but it's just a hypothetical depiction so that as you adjust the sensitivity, you're able to see how that change might affect the number of alert notifications that will be sent. In the graphic on the right, the orange line that moves through the middle represents that moving average that I spoke about earlier. The blue line represents the hypothetical user's actual behavior. Some days it will be higher than the average, while other days it will be lower. The orange shaded area represents the alert threshold. This means that on any day that the user's activity falls above or below the shaded area or threshold, an alert will be sent. In this visualization, the red dots represent the alerts that would be sent for the user. As you adjust the slider bar for the alert threshold, making it less or more sensitive, you will see that the only real change you are making is to the size of the orange shaded area. The larger it is, the fewer times the user's activity falls outside of its area, resulting in fewer alerts. The smaller it is, the more times a user's activity will fall outside of its area, thus resulting in more frequent alerts. On the Action page of the wizard, you will specify 2 things. First, you will indicate who should receive the alert notification when it's generated. You may select any previously defined alert operators, or you may define new ones right from here. Any number of alert operators may receive the alert notifications. Second, you will define the email rate. You may select to have each individual alert notification sent, or you may choose to have them sent only once per hour or once per day when the alert's been triggered. Finally, on the last page of the wizard, you are presented with a summary of the anomaly alerts configuration for your review. You can make any necessary changes and then click Done when you are finished. The third type of alert that can be configured with Veriato Recon is a compromised credentials alert. A compromised credentials alert can detect VPN logon activity that could indicate misused credentials, privilege escalation, or a breach. It differs from other anomaly alerts in that it watches remote access via VPN connections rather than focusing on specific devices. Behavioral patterns are used for some of the alert triggers, but not for others. As with the previous Recon alerts, you will initially choose whether you want this alert to apply to all of your users or only to users in specific groups. Again, let's apply this alert to all users and then click Next. On the Activity tab of the wizard, you'll select the conditions that will trigger the compromised credentials alert. There are 4 of them. Unusual access alerts when a user who normally doesn't log in remotely has done so. The unusual time condition alerts on a user who logged in remotely at a time outside their normal pattern. The distant location condition, for example, alerts on a user who logged in remotely from a geographically distant location. If you have no office or servers in California, for example, any login that appears to be from California will trigger the alert. Use this alert on people who don't normally travel far from a known office location. Lastly, the unusual location condition alerts when a user logs in from a location that is geographically distant from any of that user's expected locations. Each user's VPN usage is calibrated for login location as it can be detected. An account for a user who travels frequently to California and Hawaii, for example, will trigger an alert when the login originates in what appears to be China. While on the Activity tab, you will also provide the information necessary to connect to your VPN server. After specifying the necessary information and selecting the conditions you want alerts for, click Next to continue. The Sensitivity tab is like the one we saw earlier, so select the desired sensitivity and then click Next. On the Action tab, you can again select any number of alert operators and then click Next. Finally, on the Summary tab, like before, you can review the configuration for the alert and go to any previous tab to make desired changes before clicking Done to save the alert. With Veriato 360, you can also set up alerts that watch for specific conditions that you define based on a particular type of activity, such as website, email, or document tracking. We call these 360 event alerts. For example, the Downloading Dangerous Files alert watches for file transfer activity for any download involving file names that include either .exe or .zip in the file name. You could further modify this alert if you'd like to specify a count of events, the domain or IP address involved in the transaction, or include additional file extensions. When activity is detected that matches event alert criteria, the alert will be logged in the management console and an email can automatically be sent to any number of recipients, making them aware that the alert has been triggered. As you can see, there are many 360 event alerts pre-configured for you, and you may customize any of these or create your own. Before we move on to look at recorded activity, let's pause for a moment and discuss the 2 different types of licenses, Veriato 360 and Veriato Recon. Each computer that you monitor can have either a Veriato 360 license assigned to it or a Veriato Recon license, or both. When a computer is being monitored using a Veriato Recon license, the data that is captured will stay locked away on the client computer for the last 30 days, or 60 or 90 days depending on your licensing options. In contrast, when the computer is being monitored using a Veriato 360 license, the data will be sent from the client computer to the Veriato server as quickly as possible, allowing you to view it in the management console at any time. If you are monitoring the computer with both types of licenses, the data will behave as it does with the Veriato 360 license and be delivered to the Veriato server as quickly as possible. Another difference between Veriato 360 and Veriato Recon is the types of alerts that are available with each. When monitoring a computer with Veriato Recon, you have the ability to configure and utilize Veriato Recon's keyword alerts, anomaly-based alerts, and compromised credentials alerts. On the other hand, when monitoring a computer with Veriato 360, you can utilize the 360 event alerts that we discussed a moment ago. With both types of licenses assigned to the same computer, you can take advantage of all of the different types of alerts. The behavioral groups that we discussed earlier are also a feature that is exclusive to Veriato Recon. You may take advantage of behavioral groups if you are monitoring a computer with a Veriato Recon license or both a Veriato 360 and a Veriato Recon license. If you're monitoring a computer with only a Veriato Recon license assigned to it, and you determine that you need to investigate that user's activities, you will need to unlock that data so that it will become available for you to review in the management console. To unlock the data, you simply assign a Veriato 360 license to that computer in addition to the Veriato Recon license that's already assigned. You can use either a standard Veriato 360 license, which would remain with that computer going forward, or you may use what we refer to as a floating Veriato 360 license, which can be moved to another computer upon completion of your investigation. When you do that, the first computer will begin again to build up that 30 days of locally stored recorded data. Now that we've covered the basics of the Veriato recorder, the different types of alerting, and the key differences between Veriato Recon and Veriato 360 licenses and how they are used, let's take a look at the various ways that you can review collected data. The Veriato Management Console allows you to browse, search for, and view activity collected on computers in your organization. Keep an eye on productivity versus wasted time, and determine where breaches in security, compliance, or ethics may be occurring. Let's start with the 360 dashboard. These charts provide visual summaries from all collected activity and targeted monitoring for security and compliance. Select a folder on the left to display a panel of charts in the right pane. The 360 dashboard in the Management Console installs with more than 100 predefined yet customizable charts. The charts reveal the most significant user, website, keyword, document tracking, or other activity, as well as trends over time from a 10,000-foot overview. You can customize the chart's look and feel, add new charts, and create new folders to meet your specific needs. Here, I have created a custom folder and a series of charts labeled Security Investigations. The charts in this panel are filtered to only look at the data for Tara and Frank, as they are the subjects of a high-profile investigation that may involve theft of intellectual property and fraud. I built the charts to focus on specific areas that I'm concerned with, such as document tracking by device, which includes cloud, network, and removable storage. I'm also concerned with their email conversations, so I may want to look at any email threads going back and forth between these two users. I created this particular chart as a stack chart to separate the sent versus received emails to assist in reviewing the data. Also, a chart has been created here to highlight keywords associated with this investigation that have been detected. Let's start with the document tracking chart in the upper left. As we can see, Tara has a good amount of cloud and removable storage activity taking place. Knowing what her job entails, we can determine if this type of activity is warranted or not. Clicking on the removable section of the stack bar will then allow us to drill into the data set to see what files were being created on the removable storage. The upper right pane in this window is the summary pane, indicating that Tara had a total of 32 events. All 32 of them were created files, and there were no edits, deletes, renames, or prints in this case. In the lower events section, all of the events associated with the removable drive activity are listed. Starting on the left, you can see the date and time of the event and the computer that she was logged on to. The computer column is very important if the user has access to multiple machines, which may include logging into terminal or Citrix servers. Veriato 360 will combine all of the user's data from any machine they logged into under their username, so you don't have to search through computer data to review the user's activity. Remember, this would require a recorder on any machine that the user is allowed to access. The next column shows you what application was used and the action, which could be create, rename, delete, edit, or print. Next is the drive column, which shows the drive letter that the removable drive was assigned by Windows, followed by the document path, and then most importantly, the name of the document that was created on the removable media. Now let's continue to review this activity by looking at what was displayed on her monitor at this point. The screenshots are like a DVR for the user's computer, allowing you to rewind, fast forward, and play back through a user's activities. You can retrace Tara's steps by clicking on the back button a couple of times to see that she has navigated to the P drive and then inside the finance folder. You can clearly see that she is making a copy of the Project Athena acquisition folder, and then clicking the forward button a couple of times shows that she is pasting the Project Athena folder into the removable drive that she has opened in the right side window. Let's play through the rest of the events as they occurred. Stopping here for a moment, you can see where Tara ejected the USB drive. A bit further, and you'll notice in the chat dialog some troubling keywords such as could cost us thousands, jail, off the books, and suspicious. By the way, the Veriato recorder is capturing both sides of this Skype chat as it occurs, so when you see Tara and Frank discussing clearing their chat history, there is no need to be concerned about that as the recorder has already captured the conversation. If you would like to export screen snapshots to provide to your human resources or legal teams, for example, you might first want to watermark the image by clicking on the Show Info button. This will overlay a red watermark on the lower right corner of the image. This watermark includes the name of the user, the name of the computer, and the date and time that the screen snapshot was taken. To export the screen snapshots, click the Save button on the toolbar, and you'll be presented with options for outputting the screen snapshots as a video or a series of image files. Back in the document tracking by device chart, you can also see that Tara has a significant amount of cloud storage activity. To see this activity, I'm going to simply click on the appropriate bar in the chart. Notice under the document name column, you see the same files that she copied to USB. Why? Well, she and Frank wanted to exfiltrate the same documents using multiple methods in case she got caught with the USB drive, and also to facilitate easy sharing with the outside financial investor. You may also notice that the drive column shows Dropbox in this case, as opposed to a drive letter that was displayed on the events associated with the removable drive. If Tara had printed these documents as a third transport method, the recorder would have seen that activity too, so very quickly you are able to determine what methods were used. Next, let's follow her emails. Just like with the other data, you see the date and time of the event, computer she was logged into when the event occurred, the application, which is Outlook or Firefox in this case, the number of attachments, and recipient and subject information. If you double-click the attachment cell, you can then click on the envelope to review the attachments that were included with the email message. Notice that the Veriato recorder is also able to capture any blind carbon copy recipients for sent email messages. This is important because BCCs are often used as another transport method for leaking data or sensitive emails to an outside person's personal email or a competitor. Finally, you'll notice that the body of the email message is displayed below. I'm going to highlight and copy the term Solace Energy that I see in the body of this email. Now I'd like to show you how the Veriato Management Console search tool can be used to quickly find what you're looking for. The search tool is located in the upper right corner of the Management Console and is used when you don't know where to find the data you're looking for. It's capable of querying data from any type of activity you select. For example, you could search for the word acquisition in all online searches and keystrokes typed. The Management Console starts a search at the most current events in the database and searches all fields of all events. In the search for box, let's paste Solace Energy that I copied from Tara's email. Let's search within emails, but not everything related to emails, so let's just select email contents, subject, and attachment name. Next, we'll select the search within chat contents, keystrokes, and finally if there were any documents with the term Solace Energy in its name. And then I'll click the search button. Once more you see the event date and time, the computer, the user, the activity type, and where the keyword was found within the event. Solace Energy was found in document names, keystrokes, email contents, attachment names, and chat contents. Remember, earlier you saw Tara's side of this chat conversation. With all of the collected data aggregated in the database, you are now able to see this conversation from Frank's perspective as well. If you're interested in continuing your investigation from here, you can simply right-click on the search result and use the menu to go directly to the nearest screen snapshot or review the event in the Data Explorer or the User Explorer. Let's see what else Frank had going on while he was participating in this chat conversation. I'll select Go to Snapshots, and now you're looking at Frank's side of the chat that he was having with Tara. As you move forward through the screen snapshots, you can see that Frank opens the email he received from Annie Savoy that contains the acquisition documents, and he forwards them to Tara. Now we'll take a look at the Data Explorer and the User Explorer. The Data Explorer module allows you to view and analyze data from any or all users by activity type. For example, to explore keystroke activity, double-click keystroke events in the right pane. When you are prompted to select criteria, you could search for the phrase Solace Energy, for example. After accepting the criteria, matching keystroke events load into a separate events window with summary and details about each event where any user typed that phrase. Notice here that Frank typed Solace Energy. Each item you see in the list on the right is what we refer to as a data form. You may create as many of these data forms as you like with customized criteria, making future queries for information in the Data Explorer quick and efficient. Next is the User Explorer, which is considered the spot investigation tool in Veriato 360. The User Explorer allows you to explore and analyze all activity for any single user. Start your investigation by selecting a folder on the left and then the user you are interested in on the right. Once expanded, you will see blue buttons to the right of the username. These blue buttons allow you to quickly see what types of data you have stored for that user. Click the button that represents the type of data that you would like to see. When the User Explorer opens, you will see tabs across the top of the window that represent the different types of data that can be recorded, and you will already be on the tab that you selected the blue button for. The User Explorer allows you to drill in by activity type to find specific events. In one events window, you have access to everything the Veriato Recorder has captured for this user based on specified criteria. The Reports tab in the Veriato Management Console provides you with easily exportable, presentation-ready versions of the 360 dashboard charts or detailed event information. The Management Console installs with more than 80 predefined reports across every activity type. You'll find the reports in the provided report folders. Customize these reports and add new report folders and reports as you wish. If you'd like, you're able to schedule reports to run and be delivered to email recipients or to a folder on your Veriato server automatically. Veriato also has what we call the export utility, which allows you to export selected data from your Veriato database and store it in specific file formats that can be reviewed in environments that do not have access to your Veriato installation. There are two additional ways that you can interact with the data that your Veriato installation contains. The database has views built into it that allow you to easily query your recorded data using SQL Server Management Studio or other third-party reporting tools. Secondly, functionality is included that allows you to configure automatic data export from your Veriato 360 database to any SIEM that can accept data in the common event, syslog, or JSON formats, such as Splunk or HP ArcSight. This allows you to combine your Veriato data with data from other systems on your network within your SIEM to gain a more complete view of all security variables on your network. That concludes this demonstration of Veriato 360 and Veriato Recon. We do appreciate your time today. Thank you.